The grenade exploded in my face. Or at least that's what it felt like when Sergeant Hale's boot connected with my jaw during that godforsaken drill in the Georgia mud. I tasted blood and regret, the kind that sticks to your ribs like wet clay, as the entire platoon erupted in laughter. Harsh, barking sounds that echoed off the pine trees like judgment from on high. "Picket, you call that a block? My grandma fights better. And she's been dead since '98, Hale bellowed, his face red as the clay under our boots. But it wasn't his words that hollowed me out. It was the lie I'd been living since I signed those enlistment papers back in that fluorescent-lit recruiter's office in small-town Ohio. I joined the army to prove something to myself, to my old man, to the ghost of every high school bully who'd whispered "fag" behind my back when they caught me staring too long at the quarterback's sweat-slicked shoulders after practice. Zachary Pickett, 18 and straight as an arrow. That's who I was supposed to be. No more of those confusing nights tangled in sheets with thoughts I couldn't name. No more dodging my sister's knowing glances when I'd blush at the wrong rom-com scene. The military would fix me, drill the softness out, build walls of muscle and discipline, turn me into the man my father always wanted, the one who'd shake his hand without that flicker of doubt in his eyes. But 3 weeks into basic at Fort Benning, and all I felt was the weight of the M4 slung over my shoulder like a noose, tightening with every forced hoo-yah. That night, after the medics patched my split lip and sent me stumbling back to the barracks, I collapsed onto my bunk, the fluorescent hum overhead drilling into my skull like shrapnel. The room smelled of sweat-soaked wool and cheap deodorant, a symphony of snores rising from the bunks around me. I stared at the underside of the mattress above, tracing the graffiti some poor bastard had carved there years ago. "Freedom's just another word for nothing left to lose. Janis Joplin, I guessed, or maybe just some redneck poet with a pocket knife." Either way, it hit like a gut punch. Freedom? I traded mine for a uniform and a promise to forget. Across the aisle, in the dim glow of his contraband phone screen, sat Luke Harlan. He was the quiet one, the guy who didn't crack jokes during chow or boast about conquests back home. Transferred in from a delayed shipment out of California, with sun-bleached hair that fell just shy of regulation and eyes like the Pacific on a stormy day, gray-green, pulling you under if you looked too long. I'd noticed him the first day, how he moved through PT with this effortless grace, like he was born in boots, but kept his head down, blending into the pack. Now, as I nursed my throbbing jaw, he glanced up, those eyes locking on mine for a beat too long. "You good, Pickett?" His voice was low, laced with that faint West Coast drawl, like waves lapping at a pier. I grunted, turning away, but the damage was done. That simple question hung in the air, heavy as humidity, cracking the armor I'd built. Yeah. Just Hale being Hale, lame, but it was all I could muster without my voice betraying the storm inside. He nodded, but didn't look away, and in that silence, something shifted, a spark in the dark, dangerous and alive. The next morning dawned sticky and relentless, the kind of Georgia heat that turns your fatigues into a second skin. We were out on the range before the roosters could crow, zeroing in our rifles under the watchful eye of Drill Sergeant Ramirez, a wiry Latino from Texas who could spot a flinch from 100 yards. "Eyes front. Maggots, this ain't summer camp," he snarled, pacing the line like a panther. I squeezed the stock against my shoulder, the wood cool against my cheek, and sighted down the barrel at the silhouette target flapping in the breeze. Breathe in, breathe out, focus on the crosshairs. Not the way Luke's laugh from yesterday echoed in my head, or how his fingers had brushed mine when he handed me a water bottle during the last water break. Bang. The shot went wide, clipping the dirt 10 feet left. Ramirez was on me in seconds, his shadow eclipsing the sun. Pick it. You shooting with your dick or your brain? Do it again. The platoon snickered, but Luke, 2 spots down, didn't join in. Instead, he called out, "Casual as you please. Ease up, Sarge. Kids just got a mean hook from last night." Ramirez paused at him, then barked a laugh. "Harlan, you defending this clown? Fine. You spot for him. Make him earn it." And just like that, Luke was at my elbow, his presence a solid warmth cutting through the sweat. Up close, he smelled like salt and sage, California in a bottle, and his voice was steady in my ear as I realigned the sight. "Breathe slow, Zach. It's not the target. It's you. Let it go." His hand ghosted my shoulder, adjusting my stance, and electricity shot through me, sharp as the recoil. I fired. Bullseye. The ping of metal on metal rang out like vindication, and for a split second, the world narrowed to just us. His grin splitting wide, mine tentative but real. By lights out that week, we'd fallen into an easy rhythm, Luke and me against the grind. He'd talk about surf spots in Santa Cruz, waves that hug you like a lover before they break, and I'd share scraps from Ohio, cornfields that stretch to infinity, fireflies lighting up summer nights like bioluminescent secrets. It was harmless, I told myself. Brothers bonding. But late one evening, after a brutal ruck march that left us both limping like old men, we ended up on the edge of the training grounds, sharing a pilfered cigarette under the stars. The Milky Way arched overhead, indifferent and vast, and Luke exhaled smoke toward it, his profile sharp against the night. "You ever feel like you're running from something?" he asked, not looking at me. His voice was soft, stripped bare. "Every damn day," I wanted to say. Instead, I shrugged. "Ain't we all here for that? Escape the 9 to 5, be a hero or whatever." He chuckled, low and rueful. "Nah, man. Deeper than that. Like, who you are." He turned then, I searching mine, and the air thickened, charged like the moment before thunder. My heart hammered, a traitor in my chest. I could see it, the pull, the mirror of my own buried ache reflected back. But I stamped out the cigarette, stood too quick. Gotta crash. Drill at 0500, and I bolted, leaving him there in the dark, the unspoken hanging like smoke. 2 weeks blurred into a haze of push-ups and patrols, but Luke lingered at the edges, a shadow I couldn't shake. We'd steal moments, a nod across the mess hall, his boot nudging mine under the table during briefings. It was nothing, I insisted to the mirror each morning, scrubbing my face raw as if I could wash away the flush that crept up when he said my name. Zach, not Pickett, like the others. Zach, like he knew me. Then came the night that cracked everything open. Storm season hit hard, thunder rattling the barracks like incoming fire. Half the platoon was out on a night op sim, but Luke and I drew latrine duty, mopping floors by flashlight, the air thick with bleach and rain-scented wind sneaking through the cracks. We worked in silence at first, the slosh of soapy water the only sound, until he broke it. "You avoid me after that night by the field." Did I say something wrong? I froze, mop handle slick in my grip. Nah. Just tired. Bullshit. He set his bucket down, stepped closer, too close, the heat of him cutting through the chill. Look at me, Zach. When I did, his face was open, vulnerable in a way that twisted my gut. I get it. This place. It chews you up if you let it. But hiding? That's worse. My throat closed. What do you know about hiding? More than you think. His hand reached out, tentative, fingers brushing my wrist. Fire. I jerked back, but not before the dam cracked. A sob, raw and ugly, escaping before I could cage it. I came here to be normal, I choked out, the words tumbling like shrapnel. To prove I'm not. Whatever they said I was. But you, God, Luke, you make it impossible. He didn't flinch. Didn't pull away. Instead, he closed the gap, his arms wrapping around me solid and sure, like an anchor in the storm. I buried my face in his shoulder, the fabric of his PT shirt damp with rain and my tears, and for the first time, the lie didn't feel like a weight. Felt like it was lifting. We didn't kiss that night, not yet. But as the thunder rolled on, we sat against the wall, shoulders touching, and he told me his story. Luke Harlan, golden boy from the coast, who'd buried his first crush on his best friend under layers of bravado and board shorts. I thought the army would be my out, he said, voice steady despite the tremor. Straighten me out, literally. But then I saw you, fumbling that block like a puppy, and fuck, Zach. You're the first real thing I've felt in years. Dawn broke gray and unforgiving, but something in me had shifted. We reported for duty with nods and secrets tucked away, but the pull was there, magnetic and merciless. During PT, as we dropped for burpees in the downpour, his eyes found mine across the mud, promise in the gray. After chow, we'd slip out to the smoker's pit, hands brushing accidentally as we passed the lighter. It was a dance, delicate and deadly. Every glance a risk in a world where don't ask, don't tell, still lingered like a bad policy ghost, even if the brass swore it was dead. One humid afternoon, during a rare free hour, we hiked to the lake behind base, a forbidden spot, off limits to grunts like us, but the guards were lax that day. The water was mirror still, reflecting loblolly pines that whispered in the breeze. We stripped to our skivvies, no shame in the heat, and dove in, the cold shock stealing my breath. Surfacing, laughing, I splashed him, and he tackled me under, our bodies colliding in a tangle of limbs and water. We broke apart gasping, faces inches away, droplets clinging to his lashes like tears. Zach, he murmured, and that was it. The world narrowed to his mouth on mine, soft at first, then hungry, like we'd both been starving. His hands in my hair, my fingers digging into his back, the taste of lake water and him flooding my senses. It was messy, desperate, the kind of kiss that rewrites your history. We surfaced for air, foreheads pressed together, and I whispered, "This is gonna ruin me." He smiled, fierce and tender. Nah. This is gonna save us. But salvation in the army is a fleeting thing. Word spreads like wildfire in dry grass, whispers in the showers, sidelong glances during formation. By week's end, Ramirez pulled me aside after a range qual. "Pickett, you and Harlan tight, huh? Watch it." Fraternization's a fast track to Leavenworth. His eyes bored into me, not accusing, but warning. I nodded, mute, the fear coiling tight. That night, alone in my bunk, I replayed the kiss, the terror and thrill warring in my chest. Luke texted from across the room, old burner, against regs. Worth it? I typed back, heart pounding, every second. Little did I know, the real explosion was coming, not from a grenade, but from within. The betrayal hit like a sucker punch from the shadows, the kind you never see coming because it's wrapped in familiarity. It was 2 months into our stolen rhythm, post-basic haze lifting into AIT at Fort Gordon, where the days stretched longer and the nights shorter under the weight of signals training, radios crackling with codes we were supposed to decode like secrets of the universe. Luke and I had carved out a fragile normalcy. Study sessions in the empty day room that dissolved into heated whispers, drives off base in his beat-up Jeep to Augusta dives where no one knew our names, hands linked over the gearshift as country radio crooned about lost loves. I started calling it love in my head, that 4-letter word a grenade pin pulled. Not the crushes I'd buried in high school, fleeting and shameful, but something bone deep, the kind that made mornings bearable and fears recede like tide. Luke saw me, the real me, not the straight-arrow soldier I'd enlisted to be. Your poetry in fatigues, Zach, he'd say, tracing lazy circles on my thigh during those off-base escapes, his voice husky with that California lilt. And God, I believed him, believed us. But belief is brittle in the barracks. It started small. A note slipped under my locker. Anonymous scrawl reading Harlan's got you pegged. Queer. I burned it in the latrine sink. Flames licking up the fear. But the ash stuck to my fingers. Then came the cold shoulders. Guys I'd shared smokes with suddenly finding reasons to eat elsewhere. Their jokes turning edged when Luke and I walked too close in formation. Fairies on parade, muttered Kowalski once, under his breath but loud enough to sting. I confronted Luke about it one sticky September evening, after a brutal 12-mile hump that left us both raw. We were holed up in a supply closet off the motor pool, our latest hideout, reeking of oil and canvas, bodies pressed close in the dim, his lips on my neck chasing away the ache. They're talking, I gasped, pulling back, my voice a whisper shout. About us. It's not safe, he cupped my face, thumbs stroking my jaw, eyes steady as lighthouse beams. Let him talk. We're ghosts here anyway, might as well haunt together. His kiss silenced me, deep and devouring, hands mapping paths that set my skin alight. We moved slow that time, reverent, like we were etching vows into each other's bones. Afterward, tangled on a pile of tarps, sweat cooling in the draft, he murmured dreams into my hair. Post-enlistment life in San Francisco, waves and freedom, a place where we wouldn't have to whisper. I clung to that vision like a talisman, even as the cracks widened. Ramirez pulled Luke aside next, his voice carrying through the thin office door. Harlan, you're a damn fine soldier, but rumors, they kill careers. Keep your head down. Luke emerged tight-lipped, but that night, over lukewarm MREs in the Jeep, he cracked open. My old man was military Marine lifer. Beat the weakness out of me young. Came out to him at 16. He pretended it never happened. Enlisted to make him proud, but mostly to run. His laugh was bitter, self-aimed. Irony. Huh? Run right into you. I squeezed his hand, the leather of the seat creaking under us. We'll get through. Together. Yeah, he echoed, but his eyes held shadows I couldn't chase. The high point came mid-fall, leaves turning the Georgia woods to fire under a rare blue sky. We'd scored leave for a long weekend, miracle of miracles, and bolted for the coast. Tybee Island's salt air a balm on our frayed edges. Rented a cheap motel room with peeling wallpaper and a bed that sagged like surrender, the ocean roaring approval through the screen door. We didn't leave for 2 days. Bodies entwined in sheets that smelled of salt and us, laughter bubbling up between kisses, stories spilling like confessions. On the pier at sunset, barefoot and buzzed on cheap beer, Luke dropped to one knee, not proposal, but play, pulling a twisted bit of driftwood from his pocket like a ring. Marry me, Pickett, after this shitshow, you and me against the world. His grin was boyish, eyes alight with that reckless hope that hooked me deeper every time. I hauled him up, kissing him fierce amid the gulls' cries. Hell yes, Harlan. But you better not snore on our honeymoon. We made love that night with the windows open, waves crashing counterpoint to our rhythm, the world outside forgotten. It was perfect, raw, real, the kind of memory that sustains you through wars. I fell asleep with his heartbeat under my palm, dreaming of futures unscarred. Reality crashed back Monday, harder than a riptide. Back on base, the whispers had metastasized into action. Anonymous tip to the chain, photos, blurry but damning, snapped on that pier, our silhouettes too close, too intimate. I.G. Compton, the platoon snitch with a chip on his shoulder and a grudge from basic, confessed later, eyes downcast in the CO's office. Thought I was doing right, sir. Protecting the unit. The investigation was a meat grinder, interrogations in windowless rooms, Ramirez's face etched with pity as he advised. Deny, boys. Plausible deniability's your only play. But Luke, stubborn, loyal Luke, wouldn't lie. It's true, sir. We're together. And I'd do it again. His voice didn't waver, but mine did when they turned to me, the room spinning like a bad centrifuge. Pickett, the CO, a grizzled colonel with medals like accusations, leaned in. Your side. I froze. The lie I'd built my life on rising like bile. It's nothing, sir. Just bros blowing off steam. The words tasted like ash, scorching my throat. Luke's eyes met mine across the desk. Hurt, betrayal flashing like lightning. Before he looked away, jaw clenched. Dismissed. We stumbled into the hall, the fluorescent buzz mocking us. Zach, he started, voice raw. Don't. I cut him off, panic clawing up. I had to. For us. They'll let it slide if I save it. He shouldered past, the door slamming like finality. That night, I pounded on his barracks door, rain sheeting down, my fatigues plastered to skin. He yanked it open, face thunderous. What, Pickett? Come to twist the knife. I'm sorry, I blurted, stepping in, the room spinning with his scent, sage and sorrow. I panicked. But it's you, Luke. Always you. He deflated, pulling me into a hug that cracked ribs. I know. But trust. It's fragile here. We held on, the storm raging outside mirroring the one within. And in the quiet after, we promised to fight. Together, no more half-truths. But betrayal festers. A week later, during a field exercise in the pines, it boiled over. We'd been paired for recon sim, crawling through underbrush thick as secrets, when Kowalski's squad stumbled on us, ambush setup, or so they claimed. But the way they leered, rifles trained a beat too long, told another story. Gotcha. Fairies. One sneered, and the skirmish turned ugly. Blows landed in the tussle. My nose bloodied. Luke's lips split. Hale broke it up. Face purple. Enough. Back to base. All of ya. But the damage was done. Bruises blooming like accusations. The platoon fracturing along lines of loyalty and loathing. In the med tent, stitches pulling at his brow. Luke gripped my hand under the cot. We're done here, Zach. Request transfer after this cycle. Start fresh. I nodded. Resolve hardening. San Fran. You, me, the waves. His smile was weary but real. Deal. Yet as winter edged in, frost rhyming the parade grounds, the fractures deepened. Luke withdrew, burying in extra duty, his texts curt, busy. Talk later. I chalked it to stress, the investigation's shadow lingering. But doubt wormed in. Had my denial scarred too deep? The climax brewed slow, then erupted on a sleety December night. Holiday leave loomed, but orders came, extended training, no furlough. The platoon drowned sorrows in smuggled whiskey, carols twisted into bawdy chants. Luke skipped it, holed up alone, so I went to him, bottle in hand, heart in throat. He was packing, duffel half full on the bunk. Going somewhere? My voice cracked. Transfer approved. Fort Bragg. Effective tomorrow. His eyes avoided mine, hands folding shirts with mechanical precision. What? You said we'd. Plans change. He zipped the bag, shoulders rigid. You made your choice in that office, Zach. Denied us. I can't. I can't keep pretending this is solid. Ice in my veins. That was to protect you. Us. Was it? He whirled, eyes blazing. Or to protect you from you? I'm tired of being the secret you regret when the lights come on. Words failed. Fists clenched. Don't do this. Please. He stepped close, breath mingling, then away. Goodbye. Picket. The door clicked shut, leaving me in the cold echo of what we'd lost. Grief in the army is a silent killer, creeping in like fog off the Chattahoochee, muffling sounds and blurring edges until you forget where you end and the ache begins. The weeks after Luke's transfer were a gray march, reveille blending into taps, my body moving on autopilot through quals and briefs, while inside, a hollow wind howled. I'd catch glimpses of him in every blonde head in formation, every low laugh during chow, ghosts of salt and sage haunting the sterile air. Texts went unanswered, calls to a number suddenly disconnected. Betrayal, I learned, isn't just the knife, it's the slow bleed after. Back home for Christmas, forced leave after the holidays thawed, I faced the mirror of my old life. Ohio snow blanketing the fields, my father's recliner creaking under his weight as he nursed a beer and nursed grudges. Heard you made too quick, son. Proud of ya. His voice was gruff, approval hard won, but his eyes scanned me like contraband, searching for the flaw he'd always suspected. Mom fluttered around with pie and platitudes, my sister Ellie cornering me in the kitchen, her gaze sharp as ever. You look wrecked, Zach. Boy trouble, I deflected with a laugh, brittle as ice. Army life's a bitch, sis. But that night, alone in my boyhood room, posters of muscle cars yellowing on the walls, I broke. Curled under quilts that smelled of mothballs, tears hot on my pillow, I mourned not just Luke, but the man I'd tried to be. The straight soldier, the dutiful son, shattered illusions piling like drifts outside. Ellie found me at dawn, coffee steaming in her mug. Spill it, little bro. Or I'll call bullshit till you do. She was the only one who'd known. Back in high school, slipping me books with boys who loved boys. Her hugs fierce when dad's rages echoed. So I did the enlistment lie, the Georgia spark, the kiss that rewrote me, the denial that severed us. She listened, no judgment, just a hand on my knee. Love's not a battlefield, Zach. Even if it feels like one. You gotta choose you now, before it chooses for you. Her words lodged like shrapnel, festering through the holiday blur. Dad's toasts to real men, family gatherings where cousins boasted of conquests, each a reminder of the cage I'd built. On New Year's, fireworks cracking over the frozen river, I slipped out to the old oak tree, the one where I'd carved initials with a crush long buried. Phone in hand, I dialed Luke's old number voicemail, a generic tone. Hey, it's me. I was wrong. About everything. I love you, Luke. Come back. Deleted before send. Cowardice winning again. Return to Gordon was a slap of winter rain. The base a sodden beast. Platoon dynamics had shifted in my absence. Kowalski promoted to squad leader. His smirks now sanctioned. Ramirez eyeing me with guarded sympathy. Training ramped up. Prepping for deployment whispers. Afghanistan rotations looming like storm clouds. I threw myself in, volunteering for every shit detail, muscles burning to drown the ache. But nights were war zones, dreams replaying the supply closet, the pier, his goodbye waking sweat-soaked, heart racing. Fate, that cruel jester, intervened in February. Joint exercise with Bragg units, our signals team linking with their infantry for a mock-op in the backwoods. I spotted him across the staging area. Luke, leaner somehow, sun absent from his hair, directing his squad with that quiet command. Our eyes locked through the drizzle, a jolt like live wire. He nodded cool, professional, then turned away, barking orders. The sim dragged, us embedded with his platoon, crawling through simulated IED zones, radios squawking chords. Night fell early, campfires flickering under ponchos, MREs heating on sternos. I kept distance, but proximity is a thief. During a briefing, his boot brushed mine under the folding table. Accidental? Intentional? And fire licked up my leg. Later, by the fire line, sharing coffee from a dented pot, he murmured, "Heard you aced the last cert. Good work. Pickett. Harlan." My voice was gravel. "We need to. Not here." His eyes flicked to the shadows. Sentries. Always watching. But the pull was magnetic, drawing us to the treeline under pretense of perimeter check. Moonlight filtered through branches, silvering his face, and words tumbled. "I miss you. Every damn day." He exhaled, breath fogging the air. "Missed you too. But you chose. I choose you." Now, I stepped in, hands framing his face, kissing him like apology and absolution. He yielded, fierce, fingers twisting in my collar, the world narrowing to taste and touch, rain-slick skin, whispered please. We broke apart gasping, foreheads pressed. "Come back. Or let me come to you." His laugh was pained. "Deployment's set. Yours too." Heard it's the same bird to Bagram. Irony again. stranding us in sand instead of surf. Then we fight from there. Resolve hardened us. Plans sketched in haste. Burner apps. Coded messages. Stolen stateside leaves. It wasn't forgiveness, scars lingered. Trust a mending bone. But it was hope, fragile as frost. Spring thawed the base into green haze. Azaleas blooming defiant along the fences. Training intensified. Urban assault drills in mock villages, where sweat and simonition blurred into reality. Luke and I synced virtually, late-night calls when signals held, his voice a lifeline across states. "Dreamed of you last night," he'd say, low and teasing. "Waves and us. No uniforms," I'd laugh, ache easing. "Soon. Promise." But promises in the military are paper-thin. May brought orders. Joint deployment. Our units merging for a 9-month tour. Chaos of packing. Briefings on ROEs and IED patterns. Families shipping care packages like talismans. My folks sent jerky and letters. Dad scrawled, "Stay frosty. Son." Ellie a dog-eared copy of Giovanni's Room. Underlined, "No house is haunted without a reason." Wheels up from Savannah. The C-130's roar swallowing goodbyes. Luke across the cargo bay. Eyes finding mine through the dim, anchor in the rumble. Touchdown in Bagram was dust-choked hell. Hindu Kush peaks clawing the sky. Airbase a hive of hellos and HESCO barriers. We settled into FOB Life, FOB Shark, a forward outpost in Kandahar province. Mud huts and razor wire, patrols rolling out at dawn. Reunion was electric. Shared tent, bunk side by side. The platoon too shell-shocked from the flight to notice our glances. That first night, under canvas flapping in hot wind, his hand found mine in the dark. "We're here. Together." "Yeah," I whispered, pulling him close, bodies aligning like puzzle pieces long separated. It was hurried, hushed, danger in every rustle, but sacred, reclaiming what distance stole. Rhythm set in, days of dust and danger, nights of whispered futures. We'd patrol together, his Humvee shotgun to my driver, scanning wadis for threats while stealing touches on the gearshift. Off-duty, we'd hike the FOB perimeter, stars blanketing the desert like spilled diamonds, talking dreams. "After this," he'd say, arm around my waist in the shadows, "we buy that beach shack. Surf by day, you by night." I'd lean into him, the weight lifting. "Deal. But you cook the California way. No spam, laughter our shield." But war doesn't care for shields. June's heat wave baked the earth to pottery. Ops ramping to clear Taliban pockets in the Arghandab Valley. Riverine orchards hiding fighters like snakes in grass. Our platoon drew point. House to house in mud compounds, hearts hammering under Kevlar. The ambush hit on a Tuesday, sun high and merciless. IED first, boom shaking the lead truck, dust plume blooming like a wound. Then AK fire from the treeline, stitching the air. "Contact right," Luke yelled, returning fire from the turret, his M249 chattering death. I floored the pedal, swerving for cover behind a callet wall, bullets pinging off armor like hail. "Harlan, down!" Adrenaline sang in my veins. World tunnel vision to him, exposed, swinging the pig. RPG whooshed. Close, too close, rockets blooming orange against mud brick. The Humvee slewed, attire shredded, and we piled out, taking positions in a ditch. Luke beside me, mags slapping home, his grin feral. Like old times. Basic all over. I fired. Sighted a shadow dropping, breath steadying. Yeah. But with better toys. We held. Air support screaming in. Apaches thumping rotors like God's wrath. Dust settled hours later. Taliban ghosts fled. But the cost tallied, 2 wounded. Medevaced out. Back at FOB. Debrief dragged. Brass chewing asses for intel gaps. Luke and I collapsed in the tent. Filthy and alive. Stripping gear with shaking hands. That was too close, I murmured, tracing a scrape on his arm. He pulled me down. Kiss bruising. But we're here. That's what matters. Intimacy deepened in the desert's forge. Slow explorations by headlamp. Bodies learning scars and size. He traced my tattoos, the eagle on my shoulder. Ink from a drunken night pre-enlistment, muttering, "This bird's got nothing on you." I'd laugh. Vulnerability blooming. Sharing Dad's rages. The denial that birthed me here. "You're enough, Zach," he'd say. Fierce. Straight. Gay. Doesn't define the man holding me. Healing. Inch by inch. Letters home shifted. To Ellie. Hints of light. To Dad. Silences less heavy. Luke's stories wove in. His mom's art gallery in Monterey. Paintings of fractured skies mirroring our men's. July's full moon brought the storm's eye. Patrol to a village elder's compound. Shura for intel. Tea and tense handshakes. Kids clustered. Dusty and curious. Offering flatbread. Luke knelt. Distributing candy from his vest. His smile softening the Kevlar world. Watching him, heart swelled, this man. Warrior and whisperer. Mine. Return fire watch. Stars infinite. We lay on a rooftop hua. Hands linked. "Love you," I said, first time voiced. "Love you back," he echoed, sealing it with a kiss that tasted of chai and eternity. But eternity's a lie in war zones. August whispered threats. Taliban resurgence. Ops stretching thin. Whispers in the chow line of a big push. Clear the valley once and for all. Tension coiled, like bowstring pulled taut. The valley offensive launched under a blood-orange dawn. The kind that paints the mountains like warnings ignored. Operation Iron Harvest. Our augmented company rolling out in a convoy of MRAPs and strikers. Dust devils dancing in our wake as we snaked toward the Argundab's green belt. Intel painted it grim. Taliban strongholds in the pomegranate groves. Caves honeycombed like grudges. Luke and I were Alpha Team, embedded with the infantry push. My radio crackling with overwatch calls while he led the breach squad through Wadi choke points. "Keep it tight, boys," he radioed, voice steady over the static. "Eyes on the high ground," I echoed from the command Humvee, heart sinking to his cadence. The desert a blur of ochre and olive. We'd stolen a dawn kiss in the tent flap, salty, urgent, promising beers post-op. "Survive for the surf," he teased, slinging his pack. First contact was textbook. Sniper fire from a minaret, picked off by our marksman. We pressed, clearing compounds room by room, the acrid tang of cordite mixing with goat shit and fear. By noon, heat mirage shimmered the air, throats parched under nods flipped up. A break in a shaded courtyard, kids peeking from doorways, elders murmuring fatwas under their breaths. Luke shared water with a boy no older than 10, ruffling his hair. "Easy. Killer," he joked to me over private frequency. "Don't go soft on me. Only for you," I shot back. grin hidden behind shades. But the ease frayed as afternoon bled into ambush alley. RPGs whispering death from treelines. Our return fire a thunderous reply. We hunkered in a dry creek bed. Luke directing fire teams with that cool precision. Sweat carving tracks through dust on his face. Picket. Sit rep on air. His voice cut through. 2 mics out. Apaches inbound. I relayed. Fingers flying over keys. But a glance his way crouched. Rifle braced, twisted something fierce. Love in war is madness. A flame fanned by mortality. The choppers arrived like avenging angels. Hellfires blooming orange-black against the ridge. Taliban broke, scattering like roaches, and we pursued hot on tails through irrigation ditches. The river glinting taunt. Dusk fell sticky, flares popping pink overhead as we consolidated on a hillock overlooking the valley. Casualties light. 1 Kia from Bravo. Shrapnel souvenirs for the rest. Tents pitched hasty. MREs cracked open under lantern glow. Luke dropped beside me, shoulder bumping mine. Not bad for a Tuesday. His hand found my knee under the chow line, brief, electric. I leaned in, voice low. Missed your ugly mug, he chuckled, but eyes held weight. Dreamed last night. Us on that pier, but no goodbye. Woke up. Grateful. The moment hung, tender amid the grit, until Ramirez clapped his back. Harlan. Picket. Debrief at 2200. Brass wants details. Duty called, pulling us apart, but the promise lingered. Night ops followed. Infill to a suspected cache site, blacked out under NVGs, the world green glow eerie. We humped single file, boots silent on scree, Luke point with suppressed M4 sweeping shadows. My radio whispered overwatch from the ridge, but unease nod, scouts reporting movement, ghosts in the wire. Contact at 0300, burst from a culvert, green tracers lacing night. Down, Luke hissed, diving prone, us piling behind boulders. I keyed the net, Alpha actual, heavy contact, chords 34 to 67 north. Static swallowed the rest, antenna snagged or jammed. Fight devolved to knife edge, them in the defilade, us pinned, ammo ticking down. Luke crawled forward, Grenadier lobbing 40 mics to suppress. Flank left, he ordered, voice ice calm, but I saw the hitch shoulder grazed, blood dark on sleeve. Luke, hold, but he was gone. Low crawl to a berm, laying precise fire. Pride warred with terror, my shots covering, each report a prayer. They broke at false dawn, slipping into caves like smoke. We held the ground, corpsmen swarming Luke's wound, through and through, no vitals hit. Butter bar scratch, he grinned, pale under the morphine haze, as they stitched him canvas-side. Back at FOB by noon chopper, med bay a frenzy of moans and monitors. I paced outside, uniform stiff with dried blood, his, mine, until Ellie's book echoed, choose you. When they wheeled him out, groggy but whole, I slipped in beside the litter. Idiot, I murmured, hand squeezing his. Heroes die young. Not today. Poet. His wink was weak, but real. Convalescence bought him R&R stateside. 2 weeks healing in Monterey. Mom's gallery a sanctuary. Join me? He asked, eyes pleading. Can't. Rotation holds. But I vowed letters. Calls bridges over oceans. His flight out was a hollow ache. Watching the C-17 swallow him, dust cloud farewell. Alone again, the FOB felt vast. Patrols a grind without his voice on net. I threw into work. Extra watches. Training the greenhorns. Burying doubt in duty. Whispers from home Boyd. Ellie's packages of candy and courage. Dad's rare hang-tough email. Luke's calls crackled from the coast. Beach walks with his mom. Canvases splashed with desert reds. Your colors, Zach. Laughter laced the static. Mending us remote. Hurry back, he'd say. Waves wait for no man. September's equinox brought monsoons to the Kush. Flash floods turning wadis to torrents. Ops shifted to humanitarian, bridge repairs. Village meds drops, war's brief mercy. On one run to a riverside hamlet, we distributed blankets to flood orphans, their eyes wide with wonder at our giants in Kevlar. A girl, maybe 8, clutched my sleeve, offering a wilted poppy. For the kind soldier, Luke would have melted, I thought, pocketing the bloom. That night, under a sky bruised purple, I wrote him, kids here remind me of us, small, fierce, blooming in dirt. Love you. Survive for the shack. Reply came dawn, poppy for your pillow. Dreaming of shacks and you. Always. October's chill whispered homecomings. Tours end looming. For months to freedom. Rumors swirled. Unit rotations staggered. Some early outs for injuries. Luke's wound qualified. He'd muster out ahead, prepping our San Fran leap. Excitement fizzed like contraband soda. Apartment hunts via email. Job leads in security for him. Tech signals for me. But war's script twists. Mid-month. A hello crash on a medevac run. Taliban manpads. Shoulder fired from the hills. No survivors. Grief rippled the FOB like aftershock. Memorials hasty under minarets. I stared at the names. None Luke's, but fear's cold finger traced my spine. Then the betrayal redux. Not blade, but bomb. Intel leak. Our supply run compromised. Convoy ambushed en route to a forward CP. I was overwatch, calling grids from a ridge. When the lead MRAP flipped IED daisy chain, secondary blasts blooming hell. Medic! Screams over net, dust obscuring. Racing down, heart in throat, I found chaos. Twisted metal, moans rising. Then Luke? No. He'd been reassigned temp to logistics, riding shotgun in the third vehicle. Pulled from the wreck. Leg compound fractured, shrapnel peppering his side. Zach, he rasped, blood bubbling lips, corpseman staunching. Hold on. Love, I cradled his head. Chopper rotors thumping incoming. Tears carving clean tracks through gore. Not like this. Shack. Remember. His grip weak. Eyes locking. Always. You. Faded as they lifted off. Bagram bound. Vigil in the trauma bay. Monitors beeping accusations. Docs murmuring odds, sepsis risk. Internal bleeds. I sat statue still. Ellie's book open unread. Dad's email unread. Choose you. It mocked. But choice was illusion. Love chose us. Dawn brought miracle. Stable. Flown stateside for surgery. Calls flooded. His mom frantic. My family rallied via Ellie. He's fighter, she soothed. Like you. Reunion in Walter Reed. November gray beyond windows. Luke, pale in hospital blues, leg in halo, grinned lopsided. Told you I'd surf again. I kissed his knuckles. Vow renewed. We both will. Recovery wove us tighter. PT sessions where I'd steady his crutches. Whispers of futures amid beeps. Betrayals past mine. The wars forged to strength. No more hiding, he said one eve. Sunset gilding the room. Out and proud. Picket Harlan style. Damn right. Laughter. Light as phoenix. But discharge loomed divergent. His honorable out. Mine extended tour. Go first, I urged. Build the nest. I'll follow. Tears then. Raw. Hurry. Poet. Waves crash lonely. Parting at Dulles was airport hell. Embrace fierce. Promises etched. Love you, he breathed. Forever. Back to FOB. Desert colder. Patrols mechanical. Letters bridged. His apartment keys mailed. Photos of ocean views captioned our view. Holiday cards from home. Dad's halting proud. Son. Cracked walls further. December's solstice patrol. Routine escort. But Taliban ghost stirred. Convoy sniped from cliffs. Potshots testing. We returned. Held. But a ricochet clipped my vest, bruise blooming purple. Close call. I wrote Luke. Miss your steady. His reply, miss your heart. Come home. New Year dawned fireworks over Bagram. Toasts to survival. Tour ticked down 3 months. Then 2. Dreams vivid, beach shacks. Rings exchanged quiet. Then February's frostbite wind brought the call. Extension. Budget cuts. Unit short, my Darrows pushed 6 months. Rage boiled. Helplessness choking. Luke's voice over sat phone. We'll manage. Love doesn't clock out, but distance devours. His letters slowed work stress. PT plateaus. Mind frantic. Clinging. Doubt slithered. Was betrayal's echo resounding? Spring equinox. Resupply run. Dust storm blinding. Humvee skidded into ditch. Roll cage holding. But radio smashed. Stranded hours. Stars emerging like hesitant allies. Alone with thoughts. I confessed aloud. I choose us. Always. Rescue at dawn. Minor scrapes. Wrote Luke. Storm past. Clearer now. You? Silence. 2 days. Then, need space. Zach. Healing's hard. Talk soon. Knife twist. Betrayal's ghost. Or war's where. Pushed on. Patrols blurring. Heart armored anew. The silence stretched like the Cush's endless nights. Each unanswered ping a pebble in my boot. Grinding resolve to dust. Back at FOB Shark. March's Sirocco winds scoured the wire. Mirroring the erosion inside Luke's space. A chasm widening with every dust-choked patrol. I'd stare at my phone during stand to. Thumb hovering over send. Words curdling. Miss you. Fight for us? Deleted. Pride or fear winning. Ellie's emails urged. Communications bridge. Not wall. Bro. Build it. But bridges burn easy in doubt scale. Ops ground on. Village stability ops turning to firefights. Taliban spring thaw bringing IED blooms. I led a squad now. Promotion bittersweet. Ramirez's nod earned it. Picket. But command's weight pressed heavier without Luke's counterbalance. Nights. I traced the poppy scar on my palm. That girl's gift. Whispering vows to empty canvas. Shack. Surf. Us. Break came mid-April. Poppy fields carpeting valleys in defiant red. Joint op with A&A, clear a ridgeline cache. Hellos inserting us pre-dawn. Adrenaline sharp, but mind wandered to California coasts. Contact light. Skirmish in the fog. One enemy down. Us extracting clean. Back at base. Sat phone miracle, Luke's number lighting up. Zach. His voice. Rough as sandpaper. But home. Luke. Breath caught. You called. Yeah. Pause. Heavy. Been in therapy. VA shrink. Unpacks the mess. Laughter. Hollow. Turns out. Your denial triggered mine. Old wounds from dad. The running. I pulled away 'cause facing it solo felt safer. Relief flooded. Mingled ache. I get it. Mine too, the lie I lived. But space killed me. Sorry. Sincerity raw. Love you still. Always. Just let's rebuild slow. Visit when you Darrows. First flight. Thou sealed. Bridge mending plank by plank. Calls resumed, halting at first. Then flowing. His PT triumphs. Apartment renos with mom's art touches. My squad tales. Desert sunsets like spilled paint. May's heat baked secrets loose. Homefront shifted, dad's call. Voice gruff over crackle. Heard from Ellie you're seeing someone. A guy. Silence stretched. My gut nodded. That true. Swallow steel. Yeah. Dad. Luke. He's everything. Huff. Not rage. Your life, son. Just be safe. Proud of the soldier. Rest will figure. Click. Not absolution, but crack in the wall, human. Halting. Ellie crowed later. Told you. Baby steps. Zach. Like you and Golden Boy. Luke's package arrived. Conch shell from Monterey Beach. Note curled inside. Listen to the waves. Hear me, love? I pressed it to ear that night. Roar mimicking his laugh. Tears salt on lips. Darrows dawned June solstice. Sun high as hope. Convoy out under mortar whispers. But we slipped free Bugram stateside bird. Hearts airborne. Dulles reunion. Him waiting at arrivals. Crutch-free. Sun-bleached hair haloed in fluorescence. I dropped my duffel. Crashed into arms. Embrace bone crush. Kiss airport indiscreet. World blurring to us. Home, he murmured against my mouth. San Francisco welcomed like prodigal. Fog-kissed hills. Cable cars clanging anthems. His apartment, our apartment, overlooked the bay. Windows framing Alcatraz ghosts and Golden Gate spans. Mom Harlan greeted with hugs and gallery wine. Eyes kind. He lit up talking you. Dinner was chaos. Pasta and stories. Her sketches of desert dreams pinned to fridge. Nights wove intimate. Bodies rediscovering rhythms. Slow and sure. Scars badges not burdens. Mornings. Coffee on the fire escape. His head on my shoulder. Waves distant but calling. Shack next, he'd say. Fingers laced. Monterey coast. You, me, boards. Work settled. My signals gig at a tech firm. Remote friendly. His security consulting. Leveraging army smarts. Dates dotted calendar. Alcatraz tours. Sourdough picnics in Golden Gate Park. Hands free in crowds. No glances over shoulders. Pride Month bloomed rainbow. Parades thumping bass like heartbeats. We marched. Signs high. Love wins wars too. Luke's grin amid confetti. Worth every grenade, but healing's not linear. July's heat wave brought flashbacks. Mine from ambushes, his from the wreck. Nightmares tangled us, me thrashing, him murmuring awake. Therapy tandem. Couple sessions unpacking betrayals, the denial that birthed distance. We shattered, he said once, voice steady, but look mosaic stronger. August's anniversary, our peer kiss. 1 year, saw road trip south. Tybee echoes in Big Sur cliffs, motels with ocean roar. Driftwood ring renewed on a beach at dusk, waves lapping vows. Marry me proper? He asked, on one knee in sand. Box simple, silver bands etched with waves. Tears blurred. Yes. God. Yes. Fall foliage painted coasts gold. Wedding plans whispers. Small. Beachside. Families merging. Dad flew out tentative. First meet with Luke over beers at a pier bar. Grunts easing to questions. Surf? Huh? Teach an old dog. Luke's easy charm thawed ice. By flight home. Handshake firm. Take care of him. Harlan. Ellie's maid of honor toast at rehearsal. To shattering beliefs and building better. Ceremony December. Winter solstice sun gilding Monterey sands. Isles of driftwood. Guests sparse but fierce. Harlan's art circle. My Ohio kin. Army buds who'd guarded secrets. Thou's raw mine. You saw me when I hid. I'll light you always. His. From grenades to this you. My shore. Rings exchanged. Kiss sealed under gulls' applause. Waves crashing benediction. Reception bonfire lit. Dances swaying to indie folk. Luke's hand warm at my waist. World righted. Years unfurled like sails. Shack bought. A weathered A-frame on Carmel sands. Weekends surfing tandem. Boards slicing swells. Kids came later, adopted twins. Boys with Luke's eyes and my stubborn streak. Nurtured in love's wide latitude. Dad visited annual. Grandkids bridging gaps. His last Christmas. Quiet admission. Knew you were good, son. Just took seeing. Luke's gallery gig bloomed vet's art therapy. Canvases of fractured beauty. I'd watch him teach. Heart full. The man who'd shattered my lies. Rebuilding worlds. One eve. Porch swing creaking. Sunset bleeding pink. He leaned head on shoulder. Worth the shatter? I kissed his temple. Waves sighing yes. Every piece. In the end, it wasn't triumph or tragedy. Just human. Flawed. Fierce. Found. Beliefs broken. But love? That mended eternal. American as apple pie and ocean roars. Raw. Resilient. Ours.